The FBI has released more information now.
I know there's been speculation as well as to the writing on those casings, those bullet casings, and I believe we have that as well. And I will share that with you now. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices bulges, capital O-W-O, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow, and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." And a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO."
More importantly, let's talk about the cartridges that are, yesterday, producer Jake in our after show live as it was breaking read this memo that got leaked that said there were transgendered slogans etched into the bullet casings that they found. Well, the Wall Street Journal is actually reporting this as well. I'll link to both in the show notes for you today. And we're all just having flashbacks of the shooter in Minneapolis who killed innocent people with his transgendered ideology. Dr. Anthony Stein from Return to Tradition joins us. ReturnToTradition.org is his website. We'll link to that as well. Dr. Stein, good morning to you. Happy Friday. What do you think about all of this?
Good morning. I would have people be cautious before necessarily believing this. Necessarily because the ATF has said that, well, they posted this, I think it was last night, that a senior law enforcement official with direct knowledge of the investigation cautioned that the report had not been verified about the etchings on the bullets by ATF analysts. It did not match other summaries of the evidence. It might turn out to have been misread or misinterpreted. Did you talk yesterday about the person who had been found on X to have been posting about how Charlie Kirk was coming to their school tomorrow and they hope somebody did something, and then they followed that up with, "Oh, something big's going to happen tomorrow"? Did you report on that?
I saw that, but we didn't talk about it, no.
Well, that person turns out to have be directly connected to the person 4chan identified as the likely shooter. So
did you when this happened initially, like right after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, God rest his soul, there was all this video flying around of the actual, everybody's cell phone footage of the actual incident. And I watched some of that video, unfortunately, and, there was a group there, a transgender group there that was up on like one of the balconies, and they were chanting something about judgment is coming for him just prior to the shot.
Almost as if they all knew.
Almost as if they all knew. Then there was the gentleman who was cheering right after the shot, looking back towards towards others. I don't know who that person is. I don't know who he was looking at. I haven't the slightest clue. But all of that is very suspicious, in my opinion.
Right. If the people, if they were in the know about this, if they knew ahead of time, they will all face legal consequences for this. I mean, if you know that someone's going to get murdered and you don't do anything about it, you become an accessory to it.
Right.
So judgment might be coming for all these people. Last night, right when I went to bed, the news broke that U.S. Marshals from around the country were swarming on Utah. President Trump treated Charlie Kirk as if he was essentially like another son of his. This is not going to be let go until they have answers. So again, all I'm going to say on this really is this. Have you noticed, if you were on X yesterday, you may have noticed that around late afternoon, suddenly X turned into a social media platform for exposing the identities and employment information of people who were publicly cheering for this. The whole country, it seems, has decided that we've had enough of this ghoulishness, and people are getting fired in large amounts right now who were on social media applauding this and saying how great it was. People with their names on their accounts who were school teachers and pilots and doctors and small business owners were publicly cheering for this nonsense. So people are reaping the whirlwind, and I don't think this is going to let up.
Well, one thing I was concerned about, and yesterday there was footage yesterday of a rally for Charlie Kirk, a vigil for Charlie Kirk, and somebody decided to run through this rally screaming expletives, cheering on the death of Charlie Kirk. And of course, the bad reaction resulted in this guy getting beat down. And I just wonder.
I was surprised by that. I mean,
but like, you don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to come to the conclusion that maybe you shouldn't try to take on 1,500 people by yourself. Like, you're not Jan Sobietsky, right? Okay, so don't try this at home. But nonetheless, he did it, got the beat down. But, I wonder whether or not this will get out of control. Do you think there's a potential for this to, for the mob violence thing to sort of sweep through America, just like it did after George Floyd? So far, we get prayer vigils as in a stark contrast to burning cities down. We're getting prayer vigils. So it's not, but I wonder if it's going to get out of control.
There's a lot of people openly talking about retaliation. I would caution you from even having those conversations or saying such things other than addressing it. Don't advocate for a retaliation on social media. Otherwise, your name will join the list of names of those who are getting visits from the government right now or losing your jobs. The grave danger right now is that people could lose their souls as a response to this. They can take their justifiable outrage, their justifiable anger, and they could go beyond what is justified and lose their soul in the process. Don't lose your soul over this. That is my constant warning to people. Instead, take this opportunity to maybe do a little introspection about you and your own family and this where we are headed as a country, because people are saying that we hit a turning point, so to speak, when hit with his assassination, and that right now it might not be obvious, but in a few weeks it might be. It may just be obvious that something has changed.
Yeah,
don't lose your soul, folks. Don't be so angry that you lose your soul because of things like this.
Do you see a trend, a connection with it? We said a second ago that we can't necessarily trust the information on the transgendered ideologies etched into the bullets. I guess time will tell whether or not that ever comes out as true or false. But we are seeing a rise in violence coming from this segment of our society. The Minneapolis shooter being a stark example of that. That shooter in Tennessee as being another one. And there was a whole list of others. I see this as a growing problem. And then I guess my point is, and I want to get your reaction to this, is unless we're willing to call a spade, we're never really going to solve that problem, are we? If we're not going to deal with that forthrightly and truthfully, we're just going to pretend that people can continue to identify however they want, then we're going to reap the consequences of that decision.
Yes, and especially since we might be at one of those times in history where there is a dramatic cultural shift. People across the spectrum of political ideas are noting that things are rapidly changing in the sort of political leanings, the cultural leanings of this country, that we have been in a progressive period for a long time. And it seems like people are just now throwing that away. They're just done with that stuff. Maybe it's done with ignoring the consequences of a lot of that. And it stands to reason that when people of a particular ideological bent who elevate their politics to the place of religion, when they lose power, they don't react well. This is why evangelization and bringing people to Christ is so important, aside, of course, from the first reason, salvation of their soul.
Yeah.
There are a lot of consequences for a godless culture. And we are now going to experience one of them if things continue the way they look like they may continue.
Well, they are continuing down this line. That's something I want to talk more about here in a few minutes with Dr. Sean Walsh, this depravity. Yesterday I was reading No God Next Door, which is a book that came out in 1935. And it's about the communist regime that rules Mexico. The Archbishop in San Antonio, was begging Americans to read this book. At the time, 1935, the current Archbishop probably wouldn't beg you to read this book, just to be honest with you. But the one in 1935 did. And he was talking about how the communists in Mexico have already infiltrated into America in 1935. The book goes on to describe Plutarco Calles' government that made it one of their first priorities was to steal the consciences of the next generation. So they went into the schools and they taught communist propaganda. They showed pornography. This is the 1930s. Pornography to these kids as a way to deprogram them from religion, to destroy religion in their hearts and in their minds. This communist depravity has spread far and wide. I believe the trans movement, the LGBTQ rainbow movement, drag queen story hours, I believe all of that is a byproduct of the errors of Russia that have spread through the world. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. We are reaping, I think, the whirlwind right now for the lack of movement on the consecration of Russia to be done properly, which is to name Russia and Russia alone, all the bishops of the world in union with the Pope, the full release of the third secret, maybe in the homily for the Mass of the consecration. It doesn't take much, but it has been a Sisyphean effort, basically. This is so impossible for them to do this, that they try to change what things are, what they're doing. We're reaping this, and the errors of Russia. Yeah, Russia may have, at least on the surface, reverted to its orthodoxy, but the true conversion of Russia will be when the Fatima consecration happens. It will be the end of the schism. It'll be over. We are to be one church under the rock of Peter, and it will be one church again. But we continue to deal with the errors of Russia, which are now seem to be promoted by the U.S. as the biggest proponent of them. We are the world's first and foremost exporter of cultural degeneracy worldwide. For whatever reason, we took up that mantle, perhaps because of our institutionalized lukewarmness on matters of faith, where we will just say, we'll go along to get along. It doesn't matter what you believe. Oh, you believe in Jesus, even though you believe in a really weird version of Jesus that doesn't sound anything like what the Catholic Church teaches. Oh, it's fine. You know, we're living through the consequences of this.
We are living it. Dr. Anthony Stein, really appreciate having you on the team today. If you want to join us back for the after show, love to have you. ReturnToTradition.org is his website, ReturnToTradition.org. We'll put a link to that. Check him out on YouTube as well if you haven't done so already. But coming up in just a couple of minutes from now, we're also going to have on the team Dr. Sean Walsh. She's got a couple of great articles we're going to link to in the show notes today. But he's got some expertise both in academia, artificial intelligence, philosophy. Let's talk about the growing depravity in our culture. Charlie Kirk focused on academia and winning the hearts and minds of the next generation for a reason. But boy, oh boy, it's not
looking pretty. Did you like that
video?
It's okay. You can admit it. It's perfectly fine. Hey, we cover the big stories of our day, from inside the church to outside the church to all points in between, and we do it from a Catholic perspective. It's called A Catholic Take. It's a radio program Monday through Friday. We live stream it right here on this channel, by the way, so make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We would be very grateful to you. And don't forget, you're going to want to watch this video right here because you don't want to miss anything.